Good morning, everybody. Danny from Deep South Homestead. Oh man, guys, the sun hadn't even come up yet. It's still early in the morning. It is 6:25. I'm sitting over here at the cabin just enjoying the morning. It's 71 degrees outside. A little bit cloudy. Just sitting here, got through feeding the cows and running around watering the greenhouses and stuff like that. I just thought I'd take a moment, man. Just sit down and just chill out in the mornings. I'm usually wide open, running like crazy. And I've checked the peas out here I've got. They're doing fantastic. The Hopi corn it's doing okay. Not what I'd like to see out of it, but guys, it's 100 and something degree heat index here every day. So, I guess I have to understand that that's just, it is what it is. Until we get some cooler weather coming in here, it's just not going to do what it really needs to do. But I'm sitting here looking at my sugar cane over yonder. It's some of the prettiest sugar cane we've ever had since we went to this new method of planting in circles rather than long rows. It's doing really, really good. So that's going to work for us. We're learning techniques from other countries. And this was a technique from another country that we learned. And so far, we have no weeds hardly. Very easy to maintain, very easy to fertilize and take care of. And actually looks good. I like the way it looks. I'm thinking by the time October gets here, if we don't get a storm in here and mess it up, we're going to have some of the prettiest sugar cane we've ever had. And I'm excited about that. Of course, the ponds are still about 3 to 4 feet low. We haven't had enough rain to even put any water in the pond, but we've had enough rain to keep the crops going. My sweet potatoes are at peak. I mean, they're just flourishing, doing as good as any sweet potatoes I've ever had. Now, what's under the ground, I have no clue. We dug a couple here 2 weeks ago, and they were fairly decent, but I wanted better. And so I'm leaving them. Instead of going through the 125 days that we normally would go through, I'm going to try to be more like pushing 150 days just to see if it makes a difference, because the flash drought really knocked them back and they didn't do good. The okra had just now started coming on, and guys, the sweet potatoes has took off. Hopefully we can get this in a video and show you. The garden is just a jungle now. The sweet potato vines are climbing all up my okra, bending it all over, and I probably won't get much more okra off of it, but hey, those sweet potatoes have started going crazy. And our peas in the front, oh my word, they have gone bonkers. I mean, it's amazing at when you go from this flash drought that we had where everything was everything was just dying, and no moisture, no water, nothing. And even though we were watering, it just didn't do any good. The radiation from the sun was just so intense, it just burned everything up. But then all of a sudden, the intensity of the sun goes away. Even though we're still in the triple digit heat indexes, our morning temps are like 71 and 72. Because we get just a little bit of a shower every day, maybe a quarter of an inch or eighth of an inch or a 16th of an inch or something, just enough to wet the ground a little bit right before dark, and the atmosphere cools off. And the plants are loving it. Now it is a vast difference to go from 71 to 103, 104 heat indexes every day, but we get a little shower and it kind of helps the plants to acclimate to it. So we're excited because everything's doing good right now. And that's I want to kind of lead into, the high tunnels is another thing. People's wanting to know, am I still using my urine? The answer is yes. I'm having such good results from my urine that I'm using it on everything. I mean, literally everything. And I'm telling you guys, I am seeing bumper results from it. Now I don't take any medications, and my urine it's almost like a glass of water when you hold it up. I mean, I don't eat junk food and stuff like that. I don't have dark colored urine. My urine's it's not even yellow. It's more of a whiter look when it is yellow. And it's I've got to the point now, being honest with you, I'm experimenting. I'm not diluting it. Now it doesn't go as far as it normally would, but I'm just putting like a quarter cup, and I'm not putting it right at the plant, but out away from the plant just a little bit. And I'm actually having some really good results from that. So for those of you who's been sending me emails and asking questions about that, yes, I'm still doing it, and it is working. I'm actually using it on my trees now in my other high tunnel, in my containers that I grow trees in, quarter cup every day, in each one of them. And it seems they're putting on new growth. I mean, the leaves are turning vibrant green. The trees are looking really, really good. I'm not overdoing it. And right now it's the only fertilizer I'm using. Now in my high tunnel, with the dark shade cloth on it, I've already began some turnips, which is a little bit early for us, but I said in the high tunnel with a shade cloth on, I might pull it off. I've got white turnips started, white globe turnips, no, not the purple top, but the white globe turnip started. I started me some red Russian kale. It's all up. I started me 4 red cabbage plants. I just wanted to see if I could pull this off without the insects getting them. I might not be able to, but we're going to give it a shot. And of course, we have the peppers that's on steroids since I've been using the urine around. They're like up to 8 feet tall now. They're like, it's just astronomical is what those things are doing. But and all this, and Wanda's is doing fantastic. Her high tunnel over there is just doing fantastic. She's got so much stuff going on in there that it's unreal. I mean, I extended my white seedless grapevines up into the top of my high tunnel, and the vines are now reaching up because I've been putting the urine on the grapevine, and it's reaching up now, starting to grow again when it had done come to a complete halt and quit growing. But now it's done kicking in and taking off, so we're excited about that. Maybe we'll give you a tour here before long of the progress of using the urine and worm castings. Now, some things, when I planted the turnips, the kale, and both the turnips, the kale, and the cabbage, when I planted those, and some of my pepper plants, I put some worm castings around and all of it, and we're going to see how that does too. See what it, and maybe why the turnips and all doing as good as they're doing. But that kind of brings me to the point today of, are you thriving or are you surviving? There's a difference. When you look at, and I know lots of YouTubers do this. I don't do it, but lots of YouTubers do it. Because YouTubers always questioning me about it, and I'm like, I don't do this, but they look at what's trending, and they're trying to come up with all the different ways to be able to find out what's popular on YouTube. Now, I don't do that. I just do what I'm doing every day, and y'all, Miss Wanda's running around on the Ranger in the background, so if she comes through here, don't think anything about it. She may even stop, not realizing I'm doing porch time. But lots of people are doing 10 reasons for doing this, or 5 reasons for this, and I've done those videos in the past myself, talking about survival and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with it. And people ask me all the time, how come you're not doing like the 10 best survival tips and all this kind of stuff? And guys, there's 1,000 channels out there doing it. I mean, why should I do it? And a lot of them have some pretty good information. And I have no quarrels about anyone doing it, because depends on where you live at in the country as to whether or not that's going to benefit you or not. So when I try to do so many tips on something, I try to tell somebody I'm in South Mississippi and Zone 8. And it may not work for you where you're at, but this is the survival tips I'm going to give you. And the thing about it is surviving is a great thing. It really is a great thing. But there's more to surviving than that. Do you just want to survive? I mean, let's stop and think about it. I mentioned on the live stream the other night. If y'all want, you should probably go back and watch that. I mentioned that I'm getting out of all the groups that I'm in. That I call it the inner circle. I left what I was doing half a year ago now, almost. I left what I was doing and got out of it, and I said I'm not doing this anymore, and I'm retiring from everything. I technically retired back in 2010, but that was from construction and doing that type of stuff. But I got myself involved in other aspects of the country, and I got too deep in, and I knew too much, and I just got out of it. I told Wanda, I said, I got to get out of this. I just got to quit. I got to quit. And even now, I'm getting out of the inner circles that I'm in, because I'm starting to look at my health, what's going on with me physically and emotionally, spiritually and stuff. And Solomon in the Bible gives some sound advice in Ecclesiastes and Proverbs and Song of Solomon, and he says, with a lot of wisdom comes a lot of sorrow. And guys, I'm going to tell you, I'm not trying to say I'm a wise person, but when you know too much, it weighs on your mind so heavy that it drags you down, because you kind of you start losing interest in doing things. You're like, well, what's the use? They're going to do this, they're going to do that, and so what's the use? And you lose the joy of living, because you're so bogged down by all the negative stuff out there in the world that Satan's allowing all the elite to do, and he himself is doing with his minions and the Nephilim and different things like this. And when you learn that deep, deep, deep under the earth, even under the cities that we have built as humans, that even deeper than that under the earth now, because of our sonar devices and our ability with technology and AI to be able to see deep into the earth, we're finding out that the Nephilim actually live deep under there, and we're finding their places of habitation. And I mean, when you learn all this stuff that the government is finding out, and they're not telling people, and they're actually trying to figure out how to get them up here with us, and it serves no good to sit back and dwell upon these things. Or like when the president was briefed here a couple of weeks ago about what they discovered in Antarctica, about the lava flowing up under the Antarctica, and because of the magnetic reversals taking place on the earth and causing the earth to heat from the inside out, and lots of Antarctica is beginning to melt, and he's got these big giant ice sheets that's going to fall off into the ocean that could raise our ocean levels around the whole earth, 30 feet or 40 feet. And the presidents and the leaders of all the countries are like, well, don't tell people, because if we do, we're going to create mass panic. And now insurance companies, I have a particular, I don't usually do screenshots of what I'm talking about. I might on this one. I'm not 100% sure if I can get Miss Wanda to do it. But I was watching a news station in California, and I'm bad about doing this. I'm bad about going and hunting up local news stations. And even though I know it's the gatekeepers that's in its local news, what you will learn, I will tell you this, what you'll learn about the media is that they slip things in subtly, so that when something happens, they can say, well, we told you, But there was a news station in California. I've watched several of them. And I can't think of the name of this one right off the bat, because I've looked at so many. I know one of them was ABC, something in California. But the insurance companies are kind of freaking out, kind of wondering about, now this particular news station wasn't talking about insurance, but I've watched a lot of them that are. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do about the rising water levels that's fixing to happen in the next few years, and put all these housing projects underwater. What are they going to do about insurance? How are they going to compensate for this? The insurance companies are panicking, and now they're lots of talk about climate change and all this kind of stuff in these news channels and all. And they're blaming it all on climate when the climate is really not what it's about, guys. It's about the sun going to sleep right now. We're on solar cycle 25, and as we go into this, there's lower magnetic fields. I mean, I'm not going to go into all the details about all this stuff. I mean, most people wouldn't understand it if I did. It took me years to figure this stuff out because I've been studying this stuff for years. And due to all that, the climate around the earth is changing, but it has nothing to do with what man's doing. It has nothing to do with carbon. I mean, it's all about what's going on in our solar system. And yes, the water, according to what scientists are telling me, and I'm good friends with some of the top scientists in the world, and that's the reason I'm backing away from all this stuff, because I'm getting where I don't want to know anymore. You know, they're saying that the water levels are going to rise, and some of them's even going to do it within a one-day period. Could rise 10 to 12 feet in one day around the world. Now, I can't comprehend that, but I'm just telling you what it is. And for me to sit and dwell upon this kind of stuff is not going to benefit me one bit in the world. It's not going to benefit you, because all it's going to do is cause you anxiety. And these TV stations are talking about now what I've tried to say for years now. If you go back, I started back in 2017 or 18 talking about this because I knew back then, it was the government knew then, talking about the extremes. This TV channel in California is talking about how that when it's hot, it's going to be extremely hot. How when there's droughts, there's going to be extreme droughts. But when the rain comes, you're going to get a year's worth of rain in a day or two, you know. And then's going to come not only the deluge of flooding, everything's going to flood and go underwater. They're talking about this on the news in California, for the state of California, talking about all the different cities around the Bay areas and all that stuff that's going to go underwater. And they show flood maps and all this kind of stuff. And guys, nobody's paying attention. Everybody's sitting back going, well, yeah, let's just hope it don't happen. No, it's going to happen. It's just that they're trying to subtly slip all this stuff in so that when it happens, you know, they can say that it happened. And guys, this kind of stuff is what I'm talking about. I'm getting tired. A lot of my health issues is because of the information I'm given. And I'm told I can't say anything about it. I'm told, you know, what I can say, what I can't say. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired. My body's tired. I'm tired. I'm tired physically. I'm tired mentally. It's time for me to just back away. If other people want to talk about it and other people want to do it, that's fine. I'm going to mainly focus on thriving. Because what good is it to just survive if you can't thrive? I want to thrive. I want to be able to have what I have and thrive. And I already know the comments I'm going to get, because I have this built-in ability to just know what people are going to say before they say it. Well, Schwab says, you know, you're not going to own anything in such and such a year, and you're going to be proud that you don't own it. Now, that'll never happen to me. I'll never be happy to own nothing. Okay? I've been poor. I was raised poor. I had nothing. I know what it is to be poor. I know what it is to own nothing. And I was not happy. So, that is a lie from the pit of hell. They're trying to condition people mentally, mainly the young people, to literally believe that they'll own nothing and be happy. Because they have, you know why? Because they have no responsibilities. They're totally irresponsible bunch of pieces of crap. You know, and that's what they're trying to do, is raise a generation of people that is totally irresponsible. My objective from this point forward, and I'm probably going to not get as many views or anything as everybody else who's doing the 10 reasons for this, you know, and how to survive and all this kind of stuff. And I really don't care. I'm not in this to get rich or to be famous or anything like that. I'm just going to do what I do naturally, which is what I've always done, and I'm going to just continue on. You know, if I don't ever get no more subscribers than what I've got, I'm totally happy. I only want what God wants me to have. And guys, I want to start talking more about thriving. And how do we thrive? We thrive by raising our own food. We thrive by knowing how to enjoy and to live our life every day to its fullest. This is how we thrive. I'm going to be showing you things about the garden, things about the high tunnels, how to make sugarcane syrup. If the Lord's willing, I can get all that back up and running again this year. You know, maybe how to butcher something, or how to do stuff so that we can thrive. You know, because what good is it to just be sitting here surviving and just barely getting by with beans and rice and just not hardly making it and not thriving? What kind of life is that? That's a sad life, to just survive. I don't want that. I want to thrive while I survive. I want to show you my fruit trees. I want to show you my barn. I want to show you what I'm doing in the barn. I want to show you smoking bacon out here in my smokehouse right here. I want to show you how to cure bacon, how to smoke it. And I've done videos on it, but I want to keep showing you. You know, I'm going to show you what it's like to live in a cabin off grid, and which is what we have here. We have no power running to our cabin over here. We have no power running to the barn. Everybody keeps telling me, you need to hook this up to the barn. You need to do this. You need to do that. I have no power over here. Let that sink in. All my homestead is on the other hill, way over yonder. That's where all my high tunnels, my electricity, and my water, and all that kind of stuff's over there. I don't have a well over here. I don't have nothing. This is just off grid. And every day I come over here and I live this lifestyle so that I can kind of get a grasp of where I'm failing in it at. So that when the grid goes down, which it will at some point, I won't be sitting back going, man, I don't know what to do. Running around here like I got ants in my pants trying to figure this thing out. Wanda and I'll just look at each other and say, well, I guess we might as well head to the cabin. Because that's the only place we're going to be able to survive. We're not going to be able to make it in the house we have over here. It's not set up for it. And we just move over here and keep right on thriving. You know, I mean, that's what I want to teach. I want to teach not only that, but I want to be able to teach you that without faith, without the Lord, you're not going to make it anyway. Okay? The Lord should be the number one survival thing that you do, is get your life right with the Lord. Accept Him as your personal Savior. Become a born-again believer. And from that point forward, it doesn't matter what happens. You're taken care of. You know what I mean? That's the one thing we just have to realize, that God comes first. What does it say in the scripture? Was it in Matthew, or I forget which one of them it's in. It's in the Gospels. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and His righteousness, and all these things. He has a whole list of things there. He says all these things, and I'm not going to tell you what they are. I want you to go look for them. All these things will be added to you. And then he goes on and he talks about the flowers of the field and the beauty of them and all this kind of stuff. He says, even Solomon with all his wealth and riches and knowledge and wisdom was not arrayed and not as beautiful as one of these flowers that even it just cut down and withers in the day. Even Solomon and all he has doesn't have the beauty of that. There's not the birds in the morning go to crying out to God and God feeds them. You know, why should we stress out about what we have? Now, this doesn't mean not to prepare, okay? This is where a lot of people misconstrue the scriptures. They go, well, I don't have to prepare, just make sure I do everything right. And God says all these things will be added unto me. God despises laziness. God despises slothfulness. Go look up, what is it? Proverbs 6:16. God talks about 7 things that God hates, 6 things God hates, 7 yea is an abomination unto Him. Go look that up and realize that what God's trying to tell us there that he hates these things. And guess what? It's not drugs, it's not sex, it's not rock and roll. You know, there's things that God hates, and we do them every day. Ain't that sad? We do the things God hates every day. And then if you go on over into the New Testament, then Romans there's 21 things listed out there that God says that will happen in the end times. And 21 in the Bible is a number for exceeding sinfulness of sin. You know, so we have to realize that there's things that prevents us from thriving, and there's things that prevents us from being in the will of God. The only way you can truly thrive and survive at the same time is to be in the center of the will of God and know that you're right with the Maker, that you've got your life in order with the Maker. It doesn't matter what happens. If you lose it all, it's okay, because you've got the Father with you. And when He's with you, He says, I stick closer than a brother. You're never alone when you have the Lord on your side. You'll never be alone, because He said, I will never leave you, or I will never forsake you. And that's what we have to, as believers in Christ, we have to come to the point that all this junk that's going on in the world around us, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because in Matthew 24, He said, "Be ye not troubled; these things must come to pass." They've got to happen. He said, "Don't be troubled; they got to happen. I'm going to take care of you." Isaiah, he says, "I know the plans that I have for you; they're good." And guys, that is what that's what makes me happy. Okay? That's what makes me happy. I'm ecstatically happy about that kind of stuff, and it makes me excited to know that that the Lord's got it. And I'm not going to fret about that. I'm not going to fret at all. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to thrive and survive. I'm not going to flip out. I'm not going to freak out about it. I'm going to say, Lord, I don't know what you have for me in store for this life. I don't know everything you have in store for me. But what I do know is that I'm going to love you. I'm going to do the best that I can do. And I'm going to try to be the best example for everybody that I can be. And guys, I'm here to tell you, all the doom and gloom out there in the world, it's just not worth it. All the knowledge out there in the world of all the things that's going to take place in the world, it's just not worth it. Yes, I do know it. It does bother me, but I've got to get a grip on it, and I've got to say, you know what? I can't change it. I want to survive, but also, along with surviving, I want to thrive. And guys, if I can't get anything else across today, is that I want you to thrive and survive. I don't want you to just survive. Get our heads on straight and let's start living our life like we love it, and not because we're just sitting here going, what have I got to do to be able to make it when this happens? And we do need that, but it doesn't need to be the focus. What needs to be the focus is not losing the joy. How did David say it? He said, Father, return unto me the joy of thy great salvation. And guys, that's what I'm trying to portray here today. Lord, return unto me the joy of your great salvation. Guys, none of us are going to get out of here alive. And everybody goes, well, I think the rapture is going to happen. Even if the rapture happens, you're not getting out of here alive. You still have to go through a transfiguration. So, I mean, none of us are getting out of here alive. So why freak out about it? Just sit back, get out, do your work, provide for yourself, love what you're doing, and do what you love. And that way it doesn't become work. It doesn't become drudgery or anything to that nature. Enjoy what you're doing and quit dwelling upon what might happen. Because I'll guarantee you, what does the scripture say? Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has evil sufficient enough for itself. If you can think and plan and procrastinate or do whatever you do, and tomorrow will not be anything like what you thought it would be. It'll bring stuff upon you that you didn't even think about. And I'm here to tell you, it ain't worth it. Every day gets a clean slate with me. And from that point forward, I am literally going to just quit worrying about everything else. And I'm going to grow my stuff. I'm going to try to show you guys how we're doing it, whether we succeed or whether we fail. And we're going to thrive and survive, not just survive. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.